Hi everyone, Helen Blunden here. Hope you're happy, healthy and well. It is time for a new book review where I share some lessons that I've learned out of the books that I am reading. The book that I want to talk about is Annie Ernaux's A Man's Place. I have to ask you first, do you know who Annie Ernaux is? Have you read any other books of hers? When I was walking through my local library, I saw this book and it was tiny. It's only a 74-page book. I read into Annie Ernaux. I saw that she won the Nobel Prize for Literature last year in 2022. And indeed there was a mark of the Nobel Prize Literature. Now she didn't win it for this, but she, I guess, won it for her entire body of work. This particular book is only 74 pages and it touches on the life of her father. That's all it's about, although we do get to learn more about how she grew up and a little bit about her mother. But her other body of work is all about her mother and her own life. It was really interesting to read about Annie Ernaux because she writes differently, and I guess that to get the literature prize for the Nobel Prize, you have to do something that stands out, that is a bit different. And her difference is the fact that she writes a cross between something that is like an autobiography or a memoir or even a journal. She kind of melds it all up. Initially, right at the beginning, she says she can't fictionalize a story. She tried to create a novel using her father as a character, but she just couldn't do it. So instead, she uses the same people, her parents. She uses people in her life and she writes about them. Now what happens is her father died and she picks up the pen and basically starts writing about his life, and in so doing she wants to learn more about him as a person, more about what drives him. But the way she writes is actually kind of cold and clinical, and I don't know whether that is deliberate or not, but I actually quite liked how she wrote. Imagine someone who is recalling memories. She recalls a memory and then she writes about it in a paragraph or two. So you could see the book, see how there are certain paragraphs. Each of these are a memory snippet, and then she'll write about it, you know, in not overly verbose language or highly descriptive. It's just short, sharp and straight to the point, but it does the job because it builds this picture of the person in your head. It builds a picture of her father. She attempts to learn more about her father, what drives him, but most of all her father's shame and where that comes from. And it comes from being a poor worker, someone who had to struggle, someone who was in a lower class than everyone else. The more I read about the father, the more I kind of aligned it to my own life and growing up, and also my grandparents, who I knew felt exactly the same way in a very similar time period. If you can imagine people just after the war in a village, it's all about, you know, what do other people think? Don't blacken the name of your family, do what you can, don't be seen as being different from everyone else. It's stuff like that. It's small town thinking, I guess, that is probably now long lost and left in the past where it should be. What I also found interesting was throughout the book there are phrases, and in the phrase there are certain italicized sentences. And these italics really, I have this feeling that it's kind of like really just preempting the, it is what it is. I'm a poor person. This is who I am. This is who we are. Accept it. So the italics really hone in to the feeling of shame and the feeling of what people would say to others or to their family members to kind of understand their lot in life. And I'll give you an example. Some of the italicized is, you know, having the importance of good manners, because that's what people do. Another one is, we all know what's waiting for us. Or another one is, avoid ending up with a factory worker. Or, you can never be happier than you already are. Or, we are happy after all. Or, what can you do? So as you can see, these italics really, I guess for me, when I read the italics, I had pictures of my grandparents just the way they explained things, the way they explained their lot in life is, what can you do? It is what it is. We should be happy with our lot in life. Don't big note yourself. Can you see what I'm saying here? It's really hard to explain. It kind of cements the feeling of lack that these people had in their lives. And I don't know whether this feeling of lack was purely their own mental way of thinking about things, or whether it was a genuine societal way of how people back then, post World War II, in villages would think about the other, the small town gossip, the fact of maintaining your reputation, the fact of not going above and beyond your class. Very interesting book. She has got a whole heap of other books. Now I'm really intrigued with her writing, simply because her writing is different. It is not fictionalized. It is drawing upon memories, and she writes it like a journal. And as I was reading this, I thought to myself, there were many times I too wanted to write a book, but I simply couldn't write fiction. I've been journaling my entire life. I've got journals and journals of my entire life written down by my hand on pen in paper. And I thought to myself, I could write a book, but I simply don't want to fictionalize anything. I want to actually draw out the memories that I have, but I can't do it because I might end up hurting the people in my life currently. So this was the danger for me. Maybe Annie Ernaux has found, I guess, the solution. She writes about her own life. She is willing to put herself out there and to express herself and the situations that she has been in. But also, while she's drawing about the memory, she's drawing upon more about the environment as well. So we're learning more about, the French environment at the time, what people thought. In actual fact, she's writing kind of like a living history of how people thought, what was going on in her head at that time, or what was going on in the lives of her father and mother's life as well. It's a very interesting approach to writing. It is a very, I won't say dangerous, but it's very, if you write like this, you're vulnerable. You're vulnerable because you are effectively expressing and making assumptions about other people's lives. But at the same time, you're really taking into account and writing about the environment and the situation and the conditions of that time. Very interesting read. Let me know what you think. I'm going to definitely look up and read her other books. They are highly readable, and I'm looking forward to reading more of Annie Ernaux. So thank you for listening, and thank you for watching. Bye for now.